You sit in a parked car and do nothing. You are not on your phone. You are not listening to music. You are just sitting there. And nobody in your life knows you do this. You pull into the driveway and you don't go inside yet. You turn off the engine. You sit. Some nights it is 3 minutes. Some nights it is 20. You are not avoiding anyone. You are not upset. You're not procrastinating. You are doing something that has no name. And somehow it is necessary. You do this at work too. You clock out, walk to the car, start the engine, and then you just sit there with the car running. You stare at the building or the parking lot or nothing in particular. You're not thinking about anything specific. You are letting something settle. You have done this for years, maybe decades. You have never told anyone because there is nothing to tell. It is not a problem. It is not dramatic. It is just what you do. The people inside your house have no idea you're out there. Your wife thinks you pulled in 5 minutes ago. Your kids are not wondering where you are. You're in the driveway 20 feet from the front door, and for a few minutes, you belong entirely to yourself. That boundary matters to you more than you have ever said out loud. You're not the kind of man who explains his needs. You're not the kind of man who says, I need a few minutes before I come in. You just take them, quietly, without asking, without announcing. You have figured out how to give yourself what you need without making it anyone else's problem. That is not a small thing. Most people never learn that. Think about when this started. You probably cannot pinpoint it exactly. It was not a decision you made consciously. At some point, the car became something, a room that moves with you, a room no one else owns. You eat lunch in your car, not because the break room is crowded, not because you don't like your coworkers. You go to the car because it is yours. The temperature is yours. The silence is yours. The radio station is yours. The decision to say nothing to no one is yours. You do not feel lonely there. That is the part people would not understand. They would assume you are isolating. They would worry. You are not lonely. You are restored. There's a difference, and it is enormous. Loneliness is wanting company and not having it. What you feel in that car is not loneliness. It is something closer to the opposite. It is the feeling of finally being in a room where nothing is required of you. Nobody needs anything from you in that car. Nobody is watching you to see how you react. Nobody is waiting for you to fix something or decide something or hold something together. You are just a man sitting in a car, and for a few minutes, that is enough. You have spent a long time being needed. You know what that weight feels like. You carry it well. You rarely complain about it, but you feel it. Every day you feel it. And somewhere in your body, you learn that you need a moment between the wait and the next room you walk into. The car is that moment. You have probably sat in a car outside a family event, outside a party, outside a restaurant before going in, outside a hotel room on a work trip, just sitting, running the air or the heat. Not ready yet. Not ready is not the same as reluctant. You are not dreading anything. You are just completing the transition. You need the handoff. You need to finish being one version of yourself before you become the next one. The guy who drives home from work is not quite the same as the guy who walks through the front door. You know that. You have always operated this way. You have a version of yourself for every room. Not fake versions, not performances, just calibrated ones. And the car is where the calibration happens. Other men do not seem to need this. Or maybe they do and they handle it differently. They grab a drink first. They stop at the gym. They take the long way home. You sit in the car. You figured out the most direct route to the same destination. You are efficient even in how you decompress. That says something about you. You do not waste the decompression on noise. You sit with it. You let it work. There have been nights when something hard happened, not a crisis. Just one of those days that grinds on you in a way you cannot fully explain. And you sat in that car longer than usual. Not crying, not spiraling, just sitting, processing in the way you process, quietly, without a name for what you were doing. You got through it. You walked inside. Nobody knew anything was off. You showed up at the table. You were present. You handled it. That is what you do. You do not fall apart in front of people. Not because you are suppressing anything, because you already handled it in the car. In the 20 minutes between their world and yours, people who need to perform their processing out loud would not understand this. They think the emotions have to be visible to be real. You know better. You sorted through it. You decided what it meant. You filed it. And then you went inside and lived your life. That is not avoidance. That is mastery. Here is what is actually happening when you sit in that car. Your nervous system is switching modes, not shutting down. Switching. All day long you have been in output mode, making decisions, reading rooms, managing energy, being useful. The drive home is not enough time to complete that switch. You arrive at the driveway before your system is done. So you wait. You let it finish. The stillness is not passive. It is active regulation. You are doing something your body learned to do without anyone teaching it. Men who are described as emotionally unavailable are often doing something that looks identical from the outside. But what you are doing is different. You're not avoiding feeling. You are completing a process so that when you walk through that door, you are actually present. Not halfway there. Not still carrying the day on your face. The car is a decompression chamber. Every diver knows you cannot go straight from depth to surface. You have to stop. You have to equalize. You have been at depth all day. The car's where you equalize. There is something else happening. You are a man who has a strong relationship with solitude, not loneliness. Solitude. They are not the same thing, and the difference is not minor. Solitude is chosen. Solitude is productive. Solitude is where men like you actually think, where you actually settle things, where you hear yourself clearly without the interference of other people's needs and reactions and noise. You probably do some of your best thinking alone. You solve problems in your head before they become problems out loud. You process your own emotional data privately and efficiently. This is not a flaw in your wiring. This is a feature of how you are built. The research on what psychologists call introversion and what researchers call high internal arousal thresholds makes one thing clear. Some men genuinely need more transition time between high-input environments and personal space. The nervous system requires it. The car is not avoidance, it is recovery, it is maintenance. It is how you stay functional across all the roles you carry. You figure this out on your own. Nobody handed you a framework. Nobody gave you permission. You just knew, and you did it anyway. The car is also a space without history. Your house has weight in it. Good weight sometimes, but weight, expectations, history, dynamics that have been in place for years, patterns between people, unfinished conversations, the particular way your name sounds when it is said a certain way. The car does not have any of that. In the car, you are not a husband or a father or a son or a boss or subordinate. You are not carrying a role. You are just a man. And men like you need that space more than most. Not because you resent your life, because you are deeply embedded in your life. You carry it seriously. You take your roles seriously. And because you take them seriously, you need a place where none of them apply. The car is neutral ground. You discovered it organically. You did not read about it. You did not decide it. You just started doing it and it worked, and so you kept doing it. That is how most of your best coping strategies were built. Not from advice, from experience, from paying quiet attention to yourself. Most of the world would pathologize this. They would say you are withdrawing. They would say it is a sign of something. They would prescribe more openness, more communication, more processing out loud in front of people. They would be wrong. What you're doing in that car is not a symptom. It is a solution. One you built yourself. One that costs nothing. One that makes you more available to the people you love, not less. You are not checked out. You are recharging so you can check in. There is a version of you that walks through the door already spent, already hollow, already running on performance. That version is no good to anyone. The man who sits in the car for 15 minutes and then walks inside is present. He is there. He made a choice to arrive fully. And the car is where that choice gets made. That is not a man who is struggling to connect. That is a man who understands exactly what connection requires of him and makes sure he has something to offer when it matters. You will probably keep doing this. You will park in a driveway or a lot or a garage and you will sit for a few minutes. Nobody will know. Nobody needs to know. You sorted it out yourself the way you sort most things out, quietly, practically, without making it a conversation. That car has held a lot for you over the years. A lot of thinking, a lot of settling, a lot of the quiet work that nobody sees. You're not broken. You are not hiding. You are just a man who knows what he needs and takes it without apology, without explanation. Most people spend their whole lives waiting for permission to do exactly that. You just go to the car,